Welcome to Parkinson's, an athlete's journey. I'm Eric Von Furlick, founder of EVF Fitness and Row House, training with Parkinson's since 2020.
And I'm Todd, Paralympic rower and coach, training with Parkinson's since 2017. Together we compare notes on training, recovery, mindset, and what it takes to keep showing up. Let's get to it.
This podcast is not medical advice. Talk to your clinician before changing training, meds, or supplements.
Do you look at specific biomarkers? Do you have like a regular schedule of blood testing or something like that?
Yeah, I'm trying to get that stuff dialed in.
Yeah.
I have like some history I can refer back to and establish some normal baselines versus anything that's unusual. Like last night I had a rough night's sleep. I got a bit of a head cold, so.
Any like differences in your blood work pre post Parkinson's?
My testosterone's down a little bit, which didn't surprise me because I'm training differently. I'm not doing as much HIIT training and I'm not walking around with as much muscle mass as I usually do. So
Sure,
that's a little
yeah.
different. Resting heart rate's been affected more by my AFib and the heart conditions that I'm working with. Right now, I had a CT scan last night.
Yeah.
Because some other stress had indicated that there was a lack of blood getting into my heart. So it turned out that I have some calcification. So
Okay.
I still have yet to talk to my cardiologist about that, but that's affecting how I'm approaching my training as a general rule because I have AFib and then I have this blood flow problem.
Yeah.
So those two are dominating what I would do traditionally. I'm just doing steady state, zone 2 on the lower end.
Yeah, zone 1, zone 2, I would imagine, right? Just nothing that gets your heart rate. I would imagine like, try to limit your heart rate to whatever 75%.
Yeah, and I'm being pretty cautious about it. You know, I'm keeping an eye on it during my workout because every now and then it will jump back up.
Yeah.
Into like an AFib number where it's like yesterday I saw 225. I was at zone 2. I didn't change that, but
That's
my
wild.
heart rate was, yeah.
How does that actually feel? Like,
It doesn't feel like I'm gasping for breath, but it feels like I'm working harder than my zone 2 would indicate. So it's a little unsettling, not really being sure which number you should be following. Do I back it down so my heart rate comes back down? Or do I stop so my heart rate comes back down and then try to fire it up again?
Yeah.
It's a little tricky to figure out, but I'm working through that and then working through the CT scan that I got yesterday. But I'm going to still go out and, walk the dog and be active and stretch and do all the normal stuff. But I looked at my HRV score for someone with AFib is unusually high. So I'm happy about that.
That's probably reassuring because that indicates probably your overall health is good. You just got like a couple of these things that are funky,
Right. And that's how I'm reading it. I'm reading that the majority of stuff is working well.
Mm-hmm.
But I have this one thing that's kind of, affecting a couple of my systems.
Yeah, for sure.
So we got to just get this straightened out. And once we get the heart thing straightened out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the unknown element of it that makes it, kind of like a whack-a-mole, like you think you're taking care of it and then something else pops up and you go chasing that and try to figure that out. And if I wanted to know this much about my heart, I would become a cardiologist.
Seriously. Yeah, like 225. Right. I mean, for me, sort of my heart rate, my sort of functional max is like 175, maybe 180 if I'm absolutely bonkers. But that's like, anything above, let's say anything above 170, and that's like all out basically. Anything above 150, my anaerobic threshold is typically about, well, let's say like 140 to 155 at most. So zone 2 is like 105.
Yeah, mine's just a little lower than that.
Yeah. Yeah. Zone 2 is 105 to 125. So you're at 225. That's kind of a scary thought,
Exactly.
I know that's the strange thing. That's why I would imagine that feels odd because in order to get there naturally, I guess you would say you'd have to be, running flat out for whatever 2 miles, like literally like as fast as you possibly could go.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's been interesting. My heart rate variability is like 128 to like 140. It's been kind of running really in that range.
That's super high.
It's
That's,
really
I mean,
high.
that's
I have to
excellent.
find out whether or not that's getting affected in a negative way from my AFib. I know AFib can affect your HRV score, but it usually affects it by making it lower than
Yeah.
usual. I'm wondering if for some reason it's making it higher than usual and I'm misreading it.
Yeah. It might be, okay.
So
That's a good point. It might
there's
be
some homework to
artificially
be done.
high. Generally, okay, it's HRV, like I used to wear a Whoop all the time. I wore a Whoop for like 6 years. So, the recovery data score, the data, and then the HRV data on the Whoop is great. That's the real utility of the Whoop. But for us, like normally, like super fit guys our age, it's probably a normal HRV is probably like 40 to 70,
Right.
Yeah, you might hit like, I don't know. I remember if like I hit like 60, if like I slept great, ate great, like did everything right, it might be like 60, whatever. And on a bad day when you worked out hard the day before, didn't sleep great, it might be like 40 or something like that, 35, That's when you're
Right.
toast. Above 100, you got to
Exactly.
be like 28 years old, 28-year-old, like 1500 meter runner, Olympic swimmer.
Look at the t-shirt I'm wearing, 28 years old.
Is that what it says? I can't quite see it.
Not quite, but
Yeah.
there are some of the favorites that do seem to stick around a little longer than others.
Yeah, for sure.
So HRV and blood oxygen is good, and
That's
my
good.
resting heart rate is not particularly great given the amount of time I've spent in fitness. It's like upper 60s. Real true resting heart rate's probably in the low 60s, upper 50s. I think is like 55, 56, but again, not great for someone who's spent a lifetime training and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to answer that question as soon as we get off line. I'm gonna have to figure out whether the HRV score is legit or not. My sense is that there's something wrong with it, but we'll figure it out.
I'm skeptical that your HRV just sort of naturally is that high. I mean, that seems credible. Like,
Yeah, the other thing that's weird is my in-body score is unusually good. Not unusual for me, but it's unusual for a person my age and with my degree of fitness, and it's reading 5 to 7% body fat at like 108 pounds of lean muscle mass and a total weight of like 195.
dude, rock on.
So that's really good. But again, validating that through a couple other systems like a DECA scan or something like that would be good.
Yeah,
It would
yeah.
give me a little reassurance that my numbers aren't getting skewed by some weird anomaly like Parkinson's that
Yeah, for
makes
sure.
you more muscular than
Yeah.
one would otherwise indicate.
That's your tagline, right? Get Parkinson's and get jacked, right?
Exactly. A whole new reason to get Parkinson's.
The Parkinson's diet plan, it's like the shake, you're just like constantly moving and shaking, you're just burning calories, you need to,
Exactly.
who needs to get like 10,000 steps and get Parkinson's and be constantly moving 24 hours a day,
Exactly. It's there's got to be a joke about protein shakes also, like
Yeah.
shaker bottles.
Yeah, exactly.
Particularly
Exactly.
effective
I was just thinking along the same line.
mixing those. But I agree. Maybe our metabolism's higher because we have a tremor going all night when we're trying to sleep.
Yeah. It probably does burn. I mean, it might be, who knows, if you did the actual thermodynamics of it, you might only burn like an extra like 100 calories. So it might be something negligible, so, but who knows? I don't know.
I'm sure it is because I haven't found any other perk to it.
Yeah, exactly. There's only like a couple perks I've found from having Parkinson's. I haven't actually, the main one I'm not even actually like partaking of, handicap parking spot at some point,
Right.
So,
I don't do it either.
yeah, I did have one for a long time. When I was training with with my friend Pearl, the blind athlete, like she like moved to Portland. She has a guide dog. She's a pretty impressive person. She's been blind since she was 18 years old. She's 25 or 26 now. She lives independently. She lives here in Portland. But yeah, she had a handicap parking pass. So obviously, like I used to drive her to practice and like help her out and drive her to the grocery store. So it helped, like if I was going to drive her around.
Well, I would imagine it wasn't right. I would imagine it wasn't for her driving.
Yeah, exactly. So, but even still, I just left it in. Even when she wasn't in the car with me, I still had my handicap park. Like my wife Heather was like always joking about it. She's like, somebody's in the parking lot is gonna see me parking. This is like in 22. So she was joking that somebody can be standing in the parking lot, see me pull into the parking space, to the handicap space, jump out, like run into the store and come back out with like a bunch of bags of groceries, and they're just gonna sort of shake their heads,
Yeah, I actually think that they probably stone you in Portland for that.
Yeah. Depends where you go, I suppose.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any other perk. I mean, we frustrate and aggravate our caregivers. So, there's no benefit there. I'm sure they
Yeah.
much rather we don't have Parkinson's. It
Certainly.
fucks your sleep for the most part. We should make a list one day. It kind of
Pros and cons.
definitely jacks up your plans because you think you're going to have a good day, and then you end up having like a symptom day where you're completely
Sure.
off and don't feel like doing anything, or you're
Yeah.
apathetic and no one wants to be with you.
Yeah. Okay, so I got back last night at like my plane landed like 11 o'clock at night. I got back. By the time I got back to the house and like took a shower, emptied some of my stuff out of my bag. By the time I got to bed, it was probably like 12:30. So I didn't get a ton of sleep this morning, but so I could definitely feel as though it definitely makes my symptoms a little worse, like my tremor a little worse. I could definitely feel like I felt okay on the bike. I was just riding. I was on the bike doing zone 2 essentially. But my tremor was like bugging me a little more than usual. So I had to take just like a little more medication there's a little more carbidopa levodopa than I otherwise would. Sometimes I feel it out, like if I start riding or I'm on the ergometer and everything feels great, and I can kind of feel like a tingle almost, I'll just pop like a quarter tablet of carbidopa levodopa just to sort of cut the edge off of it. That's what I was noticing today. So yeah,
It's good that you're so sensitive to it. My medication update is, and I have yet to tell my neurologist, so I'm going to probably get yelled at. I cut
yeah,
my dosage down 30%,
oh yeah,
and been feeling pretty good considering. I
that's
mean,
good.
there's times where it's like somewhere between 8 and 12 hours between doses,
That's
and
amazing, man. That's awesome. That's great.
it's kind of exciting,
Yeah,
that I might be onto something myself if
yeah,
the less medication doesn't seem to really be having a negative effect. So I'm
yeah,
feeling motivated by that.
yeah,
Now I have to make some diet changes to clear up some of these heart issues. So that's going to be interesting, but it should be in alignment with what's going on with my Parkinson's diet. So like
okay.
Mediterranean plus.
They have the pro diet, the Parkinson's diet, right?
They do.
Wh-
I
It's
have a tendency to load up a little bit more of my proteins high.
oh yeah, sure, yeah. Say I kind of follow the pro diet. The only thing I don't do is I do eat dairy products, but not a ton. That's like so I've been trying to limit like cut back my dairy, but it's not like I really have that much. My morning granola, it's probably like 8 ounces of milk, and then the one thing it's like that I do really like is a little splash of half and half of my coffee. You know what I mean? So
Well, I think it
that's about it.
doesn't seem to be affecting you that much.
Yeah. So
I mean, I'm conscious of the idea of loading protein into your diet when, within your window of taking your medication. It doesn't seem to affect me. And when I've looked at data on it, it seems to only affect about 15% of people
okay.
with Parkinson's. So I'm not surprised that it doesn't really affect me that much, but I'm not really consciously. I try to avoid eating within an hour of taking my medication, but for the most part, if I'm hungry, I just kind of go for it and
Yeah, for sure.
don't really notice much of a difference. What about yourself? You feel much of a difference with protein in your diet?
I'd say it's hard to say. I haven't actually calculated the amount of I could probably do the macros. I did it at one point a long time ago, but I'm conscious of trying to get a fair amount of protein for my body weight, whether that's like Greek yogurt or having like a midday smoothie with some whey protein in it, or generally dinner is like meat is one of the components of every dinner. So I think I'm probably doing all right.
Right.
I would say I'm probably in the 1 to 1.5 gram per kilogram or something like that. Not a massive
Right.
amount.
And those numbers seem to have gotten pumped up recently, and
Yeah,
it
for
seems
sure.
like the data is pushing more like 1.5 to 2,
Yeah,
2 grams per body weight.
yeah. I don't know. What I typically do is I generally take my morning dose right after I eat breakfast. So give it a little time to like hit my system, right before I head out the door, either to the boathouse or the gym.
Yeah, but your breakfast is what?
Here's my typical breakfast. It's probably like a cup of granola, whatever type of granola I'm on, like what's the one I have, like the Annie's like granola, like probably like cup of granola,
Uh-huh.
probably a cup of some sort of nuts. Like I'm a big fan of pecans. So I probably put about a cup or a half cup to a cup of like pecans. Then I threw some raisins in there as well, and then I had like a handful of raspberries in there, and then it was probably about like 6 ounces of almond milk, and then like 6 ounces of milk. So of just like organic 2% milk. So and then a cup of
Not
coffee.
bad. There's nothing in there that's really affecting the uptake.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Sometimes I might swap out the berries, like swap in some blueberries or a banana or something like that, but and then change the nuts around, like walnuts one day, maybe some almonds another day. That's kind of, and then, yeah, that's kind of my thing that like tastes good, feels pretty filling, sustains me for quite a while, like through a long workout.
I have a tendency to fall back on eggs quite a bit, but
Yeah.
I just have to be just conscious of it. Eggs and cashews, for the
Yeah.
most part,
I
are
mean, eggs are
one of
awesome.
the two or
They're like,
both.
they're
It's a,
delicious and they're versatile, so
and they build your profile for testosterone.
yeah, exactly.
So everyone forgets that the cholesterol gets converted to testosterone.
Well, yeah, because they're in the same like chemical family. That's right. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say the only thing I do sometimes is I'll eat maybe like a little too much, and then for the first half of a row or a bike or something like that, especially like rowing, because you're like compressing your stomach a little bit, so it's like you don't want to eat
Yeah,
too much. Then it feels like you're
maybe you're
rowing with both.
diverting some of your blood supply.
The only upside of those days is like the first 30, 40 minutes of the row is like kind of torturous because you've got this bowling ball in your belly. But by the time like 30, 40 minutes goes by, you're pretty much like digested. Then the back half of the row, you have like tons of energy. So
It's definitely something to be said for that.
yeah.
I'm still falling back on my ketones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
still a big fan of IQ. That seems to supplement for breakfast if I'm running out the door and don't have time to really grab something.
Yeah. I've heard good things about those things. Like it'll keep you going during the course of a workout. Better than like
Well, they
other
have
things.
an MCT powder that you can add to your shake
Nice.
that does that, or you
Yeah.
can just do the exogenous ketones
Yeah.
with like a shot.
Yeah. Or can you do like in a spray or I don't know. What are the like means of ingestion?
It's more like a 5-hour energy.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
kind of like a 2-ounce liquid shot.
You can kick that back.
No,
Work out, whatever.
yeah, I mean it tastes terrible, but that's okay.
Yeah, what's the taste like?
It's kind of on the bitter sour side. It's
Okay.
no one's drinking them because they like the taste.
Yeah.
So what were you doing in Florida?
I went to visit my dad. He was his 80th birthday. Parents and sister all live in Florida, in Sarasota. So
Cool.
it was nice. It was like high 70s there. My sister lives near the beach, near the ocean, so that was nice. Got my dad some cake,
Cool.
at dinner with my dad on his birthday. So
Happy birthday to your dad.
yeah, he's 80. Like he's
Well,
pretty healthy.
genetics go a long way.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping is that I have good longevity genetics. I was gonna say my
Your
grandmother
grandmother lived to be how
will
long?
be 99. My dad's 80 and he's like
Wow.
really he has like no real significant health issues, so he could use more exercise, but that's about it. Like he doesn't get much. He was pretty active for a long time, but he's a lot less active than he should be right now for an for even for an 80-year-old. Like he was a postal carrier. He was a mailman. He did that for like he had a
Okay.
walking route for like 30 years. Then he played golf and he played like was pretty active for a while after retiring. So, but yeah, they live in Florida in like a development, some in like a little like cul-de-sac. There's like walking paths all over there. It'd be good, people cruising around on golf carts as well, so he could walk around
Yeah,
there.
you can always get a lift back if he gets tired.
Yeah, exactly. You could just like, put his thumb out and somebody else on the golf cart will take him back the mile back home, so
Someone should buy him a dog.
seriously, that'd be funny. So anyway,
Like,
yeah, back
Dad,
home.
here's one more thing for you to take care of.
Yeah,
After a
exactly.
lifetime of service, taking care of our family, here's a dog you can take care
Yeah,
of.
exactly. My sister would love that. I mean, my sister like lives nearby. She's over there quite a bit, helping them out, whatever, getting food or stuff like that. So she would love that. Yeah. Are your parents still alive?
They're not, unfortunately.
Okay. That's already.
I didn't have quite the length of longevity in my family as much as you do. Grandma kind of set the bar kind of high for you guys.
Yeah. I think we have really good longevity genes, like both sides of my family, but everybody is kind of crazy. So there's a lot of like mental, a little bit like alcoholism and mental
the
illness.
balance.
Exactly. That's the balance. You live a long time, but you're kind of, kind of a little mentally unstable. So
You would think that would lead to a shorter life, not a longer life. But I guess if you're unstable enough, people avoid you. So
yeah.
maybe it has some extra benefit that we haven't figured out yet.
My dad. Okay, one more story about my dad saying it was his birthday. My grandfather, his father, my paternal grandfather. I never met him. He died like right before I was born. I want to say he was particularly young.
Okay.
He died like really young. But he was like a heavy smoker. He was like a really hard drinker. He was like a pretty raging alcoholic. So he died at like 52, like right before I was born. My father's really never talks about it at all. He rarely, like, we don't, like, our
Uh-huh.
grandfather, like, our grandmother would tell us stories about her, her husband. Like, my father, like, didn't talk about him at all. So, and he didn't drink. My dad doesn't drink at all. Like, he never have drank alcohol. Like, as a mailman, here's the point of the story. He gets, like, he would get Christmas gifts, right? Like cash or whatever, fruit baskets and things like that. He would occasionally, you would get, like, every year he'd get like a bottle of wine or a bottle of booze, So we had this like liquor cabinet that was, decent size, but it was full, but everything was like completely full, except for when we were teenagers and we would try to like sneak some out of there, So yeah, or
Right.
replace water or whatever. But we knew it wasn't going to be checked, like, because my father like doesn't touch like a drink of alcohol, a sip of alcohol. So yeah,
That's funny. I
yeah,
mean, that's usually how the pendulum swings, right? It goes from
yeah,
one extreme to the other.
yeah,
But apparently it serves him well because he doesn't have any of those health related issues. So
yeah.
that's great. Good for
Exactly.
him.
He doesn't smoke. He doesn't. He's never smoked, and so he doesn't drink as well. And like I said, up until maybe 10 years ago, he was really active. So
Yeah, I think it's kind of a mixed blessing that, if you have a parent that smokes heavily or drinks heavily, you're pretty much guaranteed not to make those same mistakes.
yeah, yeah, for sure. He's been blessed.
Kind of the trade-off of, smart person learns from other people's experiences.
Yeah,
What's going on with your Parkinson's today? Is it flaring up or is it manageable or like where you having a good day?
it was maybe a little worse than normal on the bike this morning. It was just like I had a little more tremor than usual, but on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst my symptoms typically are, which just means it's probably my tremor is like tremoring so much that I can't get it under control really with the carbidopa levodopa, and I have to really struggle to work like workouts, whether it's on the erg or on the water or on the bike. Have to take like a ton of breaks and just like shake out my hand and feet. Like if that's a 1 and a 10 is like no symptoms at all, I would say, even given the fact that I'm kind of sleep deprived, it's probably more, I don't know, maybe a 5 or 6. Like it's not bad, but it's not as great as
Okay.
I would like it to be on a typical day. So I don't know. That's my that's good. That's a good way to frame this too. I never really thought about this, like framing your symptoms from like worst on your worst day to your best day.
Right. 1 being worse, 10 being best.
Yes, exactly. First of all, what are your ranges? What's the worst day look like for you? What's a 1 look like?
1 looks like lots of brain fog,
Yeah.
lots of apathy, unmotivated to do my exercise, unmotivated to eat right or even
Yeah.
eat at all because the apathy seems to fall back to lack of anything that takes effort. So
Totally. That apathy
worst
sucks.
day.
It's horrible. Like Parkinson's induced apathy is terrible.
I mean, it has nothing to do with whether or not it's shit that you love doing. It can
Yeah,
be, it could be surfing or something that I really take a lot of joy in, and you just have no motivation whatsoever to do it.
absolutely.
So the apathy kicks in. When you get apathetic, you have a tendency to get a little depressed also. So
Totally.
it's more of the non-motor-based symptoms. Motor-based symptoms are stiffness and my tremor are probably the most noticeable. The most annoying though is my voice and my masking is the most irritable to my observation. But when those combinations of symptoms hit, it's not particularly fun to work through, but it becomes
Yeah.
just it becomes more of a fight than a compromise. Most
Yes.
days I can kind of compromise with my symptoms and kind of work around them and find a balance of one thing will usually work. So I'll get something and take some extra time doing the things that are working. But there was an interesting study that I just saw that might be applicable to brain fog and apathy. And it was when you procrastinate, there's a tendency for it to be thought of as being a mental glitch in your operating system. And it really seems to be, this study was saying that it seems to be more of a biological glitch. Your body freezes up and your mind kind of follows. And if you can shake your body for 30 seconds, there's like an 85% success rate that you can begin the task that you've been avoiding and kind of jump in wholeheartedly within 15 minutes of doing that. So it seems like it's just a way to kind of like shake some life into your system to get yourself moving. I think it was a NASA experiment that they came across. They tracked a cohort of astronauts over a bunch of years, and they found that the ones that didn't procrastinate had the habit of shaking their body vigorously for 30 seconds and jump starting their activity. I think it was within 2 minutes of
That's
doing
really
that.
interesting. That's interesting.
Seems to, so I'm kind of curious if that carries over to when I'm feeling apathetic or just kind of have some brain fog. If I fall back on doing some jumping jacks or some like full body hinging and stuff, kind of like a ski erg motion or a kettlebell swing.
Mhm.
Uh, Whether or not that's enough to kind of snap me into action. So
Yeah,
we should follow up with
probably.
each other, give that a shot, and see if that
All
works.
right. I'm gonna give it a try because yeah, I mean this a lot in a couple different ways. Like just for example, a couple different ways to manifest itself, like in a real way. Say I need to go to the grocery store, like after going to the gym, like I'll just like pull into the parking lot for a second. I'll just grab my phone to see if there's any emails or anything, but then I'll just like start scrolling. And it's like 20, suddenly it's like 20 minutes later, and I was like scrolling reels on Instagram because I just cannot motivate myself to like get out the door, the car door. It seems like if I can just get out the door of the car, I'm good to go, you know? And on the flip side, doing chores like cleaning up the house, like I do a lot of the household stuff just because Heather has the full time job that pays really like her job pays like our mortgage and all that.
Right.
So I try to compensate by doing a lot of the chores and cooking dinner. So I found like a lot of times, like in the middle of the day when I'm doing stuff, like I really, really want to like just take a seat on the couch just for a minute, but I know it's going to take, once I go down, I'm going to be down there longer than I want to. So it's like, I just tell myself like, gotta
Right.
keep moving, gotta keep moving. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop, which is, it's an adaptive strategy. I don't know if it's the best strategy in the long run. Sometimes
Yeah, but it seems to work. I have the same problem. Yeah, and when you go to the gym, we always say the heaviest weight at the gym's the front door. So maybe in your case, the heaviest weight is the car door. You just got to
yeah,
get the car
totally.
door open now that you know that that's a problem.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. I
check
never
your
could,
Instagram after you do your shopping.
exact. That's what I need to do. I
Like
need to have,
that's your reward.
I need to have like a routine, like turn off the car engine or like put my phone in my pocket. So it's like turn off car engine, open door, something like that. Like a routine, like
Right.
do the two things together so that I don't have to think about it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Until you can set an alarm for your phone to shut off until you complete your task.
Yeah, that's good. So, oh, so you didn't say like, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 today?
I got a head cold that my daughter brought home from work,
Oh,
and
bummer.
I thought everyone in the house dodged it, and I got a lighter version of it than she had, but I still am dealing with some of the symptoms. So I had a less than great night's sleep and feeling congested and kind of so I'm saying that with a couple of the other symptoms. I haven't gotten to the gym yet. So I'm probably like a 4 or 5 overall. I'm doing okay. I'm going to get to the gym as soon as we're done. And that will get me up to a 6 or 7, hopefully, and kind of allow me to push through the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I
Yeah.
like that idea of rating it on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah. Going back to the apathy, I didn't have like a ton of that, but it seemed to have it got like a little worse last winter. Yeah. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I thought that's why I did like some blood testing and things like that. So I was like, oh, maybe my testosterone is just dropping and that's what's causing it. But it's not, it wasn't. So I was like, all right, I guess this is just indicative that the disease is doing its thing, you know, the brain is doing its whatever it's doing up there, you know, or not doing. So
Yeah, I think that's exactly. It's not doing what it's supposed to do.
yeah, I can tell. I have a crazy story. Maybe we need to save this for a whole nother episode. But when I did this Iboga trip, I like had a couple of visions, like weird thoughts, visions, whatever. One of them was regarding like apathy and
Uh-huh.
motivation. So
Oh, you kind of have me intrigued. Well, why
okay,
don't you give me the story? If you give me an abridged version, and then we'll
I
go
will.
into it in depth at some other point.
Okay, so I went down to Costa Rica last April for this Iboga ceremony, this Ibogaine ceremony. During the first time we took the drug, the plant or whatever, the wood as they call it. Right around that time was when I was noticing a lot more apathy and like lack of motivation to do like anything. So while I was like in the drug, like laying there, and it was like in the trip, I guess you would say, I like asked my brain, I was like, okay, Iboga brain, I asked it like, where did my motivation go? You know, and so this is strange. Okay, so my old dog, his name is Sunny. Suddenly, like Sunny appeared to me, and like I had this picture I was like standing inside my brain. If my brain was like the size of a room, Sonny like appeared, my dog appeared. And I was like, Sonny, show me where my motivation is or where my motivation went. So he's like walking me around the room, and he walked to like the back of my brain where I think the substantia nigra is, like where the disease process is, where your dopamine production is normally.
Uh-huh.
And he walked me back there, and I could see
Right.
like there's like big gaps where these like brain cells should be, and the ones that were there looked all like diseased and weird. And it like hit me, and I got really sad, and I like started crying because I was like, that's what happened. It's like they're no longer there. The part
Wow.
of my brain that like gives you dopamine and provides you and gives you motivation is like it's dead, or it's gone, or it's like disease or dying or dead, or just not altogether there. And it like hit me like emotionally, like that's what's going on. You know what I mean? It, like obviously that's what's going on. My
Wow,
brain is, but it was like it hit me like on an emotional
that
level, I should say. So it was kind of
wow.
weird. It was pretty wild.
Did Sonny like go dig around in the back of your brain and find some motivation and some dopamine for you?
Yeah, I haven't quite figured that part of the equation out yet, but
You
yeah.
could do another trip. Maybe you can get Sonny to like go like retrieve your dopamine for you and go
Yeah,
find it.
exactly. One of the things we listen to, do you know who Ram Dass is? He's like a healer. He was one of the first guys who like experimented with psilocybin and LSD with Timothy Leary back at Harvard in the late 60s, early 70s, and he got kicked out of Harvard along with Leary. Then he went to India, and by his like spiritual teacher, he gave him the name Ram Dass. And he's like, a lot of people know these chants, but they were playing one of the Ram. They're really cool. Like there's two that are very popular in like modern culture. Like you can easily find them on Spotify. One is called Loving Awareness, and the other one is Sit by the Fire. This by the fire, when he talks about like how there's like an ember and of like life in you, and the ember went out, but you can like rekindle it. And I was like, oh, that was kind of good. That's what I heard after that first epiphany, whatever. So yeah, Sit by the
Very
Fire.
cool. The Ram Dass has one of my favorite sayings, which is, "We're all just walking each other home." It's such a profound statement, you know, and it kind of encapsulates what we're going through with our journey. Is you just kind of like walking with each other, sharing the experience, and you know, just eventually we're all heading back to the same house.
Exactly. Anyways, that was my
Exactly.
that's the bridge version
And
of the Iboga Sunny story.
I kind of feel like there's more that Sonny wanted to reveal to you, but it's pretty amazing. You had a retriever that went to where your
I know
dopamine was.
it was strange. Like, yeah, and that I'm not exaggerating. That was like word that's verbatim, kind of like.
Did Sonny have a voice in that dream, or was he just a
No,
dog?
he just started like walking me around, like leading me by walking me around, like looking at me and walking at me. You know, so he didn't speak to me. He just like walked me around and pointed it up. And, you know, he just like led me. So
Maybe the next time Sonny will actually have a conversation with you.
yeah. The other thing that happened during that trip is like I don't know. I was kind of joking with myself a little bit. I was like, "What's my spirit animal?" While I was like in this trip, the animal, I don't know if it's the national animal of Costa Rica, is the sloth, and I like the sloth. It's got a cool name in Spanish, perezoso. So I was like, Iboga, what's my spirit animal? And the sloth appeared to me. It gave him a name. His name is Jack. Like this occurred to me. Like speaks in like only in like one word phrases like zap or bam or go.
Uh-huh.
But he's like action words, but he's a sloth, you know? It's got to like learn to do things differently. Cause like part of me is like, part of this like retreat was like self-acceptance of like who I am now, you know, because a lot of it is like, we've talked about, you lose your identity with Parkinson's a little bit, especially as athletes, you know, like, so that was part of it.
Yeah,
Like, I need to be more like the sloth. I need to like embrace my inner sloth, you know?
that's pretty cool. I didn't think of that as being a symbolic animal for
Yeah.
Parkinson's, but it certainly would be appropriate.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. Yeah. There you go.
what was your sloth's name?
Jack.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would hope there are herbivores because I would imagine anything else is getting away from it pretty quickly.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Well, it gives me a whole new appreciation for the sloths.
Yeah, exactly.
It
That's my
sounds like the Ibogaine's a pretty powerful trip.
Yeah, it is. It is. It absolutely. We did like a proper Iboga ceremony. There's a guy who runs this clinic, Troy. He was awesome. Troy got this place called Root and Wisdom, and he's been initiating like 3 different African tribes. So he tries to do it right. But on the flip side, like there's a bunch of places that are sort of medical clinics, like in Mexico, particularly like in Cancun and Cozumel. But they use ibogaine. They don't use the iboga root, so they can use really much higher doses, which might be more purely therapeutic for what we're trying to do. You know. So yeah, a lot of them are like right across the border. So, and they're in sort of a medical space as well. So using straight up Iboga. So I
Be
wonder what,
curious to see as we start interviewing people if we come across anyone who's has more experience with that world or
yeah,
that is a modality.
yeah. I wonder if like taking just the straight up Ibogaine would be more effective for us, what we're trying to do, you know?
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of still intrigued by Jack the Sloth.
Yeah.
Seems like there's a lot of wisdom in the spirit animal being a
Yeah.
sloth.
Yeah. Maybe you need to take some Ibogaine and Iboga and figure out what your spirit animal is, you know?
No, I think it's universal. It might be. I think you've
Yeah. Oh
tapped
yeah, yeah,
into
yeah.
something.
Yeah, that is a good point. That for like that is the Parkinson animal, you know?
We could come up with a whole chart: Parkinson animal, a rating of your symptoms,
Yeah,
and Sunny,
exactly.
your retriever, the dopamine retriever.
Yeah. That was wild. That was a wild part of the trip.
I'm intrigued by the ability to interact with yourself, where you could have that conversation from like the third person.
I don't know about other psychedelics. I do use like THC occasionally, like because it helps with my symptoms. What I'm talking about, what I mean by occasionally is maybe like once or twice a week at absolute maximum. I'll take like 2 milligrams of THC to help me sleep. It cuts a tremor, but it also like this. I have the same experience with THC occasionally. If I take a lot more, like if I get a little more high, I guess you would say, is that I can look at like conversations differently, or like if somebody says something to me, I know when I was sober, I would probably process what they're trying to tell me or their body language in one way. But I'm like, when I'm like have a little THC in me, I suddenly like look at things from a little bit of a different perspective. It's kind of similar to that. So I don't know if you've ever experienced what your experience with THC is.
It's pretty limited, and I haven't really done it enough or at a high enough dosage to really have had anything that's notable or different. I mean, obviously, I feel a little more detached,
Yeah,
but I need to go down that path when my symptoms have flared up and see if I have the same benefit. It's
yeah,
primarily for the tremor, I would think.
yeah. Both CBD and THC are like really, for me personally, like they really help so well because it takes away tremor. It helps me sleep. Like, and if you're feeling banged up too, as well, like after a hard workout, like if your joints are like suddenly all your like muscles feel like loose, and it's like really good for sleep too, for me at least. So
From a sleep perspective, I'd be curious.
yeah, experience may vary, but I find it pretty useful, like drug, you know. So and also I've had that same experience where I've done this before, where I'll take like a weed gummy or whatever, and I'll be like something I've been thinking about, like I don't know, maybe it's like an interaction with Heather, with my spouse, or something with rowing, or like, and there's like a problem I'm trying to solve. So I'm like, all right, I'm all right. This is what I've said to myself before. I'm like, weed brain, go to work on this, you know? Then like
Yeah,
just your brain starts thinking about things from a different perspective. You're like, oh, this is what that person really meant. Or maybe I should have tried this, or maybe I'm just like thinking about the situation all wrong. I should have done this, you know? You have suddenly those thoughts, you know? And hopefully you can hold on to them to when you're sober, you know?
exactly. So
So
you're having these amazing epiphanies. Unfortunately, you don't remember any of them.
exactly.
If this episode helped, share it with a coach, an athlete, or someone who needs a little momentum.
And if you have a topic you want us to tackle, send it in. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for listening. Catch you on the next one.